How you doing, Joe?
It's Thursday.
It is Thursday, man.
I always know it's Thursday when I hear that song. Yes.
Should I changed the angle on my camera. I think I feel like if I'm on this side of the screen, I'm going to be looking at. I look like I'm more engaged in our conversation mentally. Just by switching over. What do you think?
No. Yeah. I mean, I like being on the left.
Okay. Well, there you are. Then we're
yes.
Home run. Yeah. How's your week been, man?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, not much to speak of. I mean, just skating through, getting busy at work, you know what I'm talking about? How about you?
Yeah. Well, actually, let's talk about that though, because this is high time in the finance tax world, right?
It's getting to be, yeah, that's for sure. And we get a lot of folks. See, this is a part of what we were going to talk about today. This is the time where people come to us and they go, "Hey, we started a business last year and we didn't keep any books, and we just have a pile of receipts."
Fix this.
And we go, "You gotta, okay, we can fix this, but you gotta pay us money to do it." Yeah. And they go, "What? I pay you money? What the heck?"
Really? People are surprised that especially, I mean, like literally people are surprised it's going to cost money?
Sometimes. I mean, they go, they think like just a box of receipts to the accountant and then you can do the taxes but you have to put all of those receipts together, and that takes time. That is a completely different service. It's bookkeeping, like that's making sure that you're reconciled and everything. So like that's a separate service than getting the taxes done.
Yeah.
But anyway, like it's like that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of new people, and actually I'm doing a workshop on Friday, which is right up my alley. So yeah, I'm good. Everything's good.
Good, man. Hey, again, I know it sort of falls into the topic of later on today. A lot of people, probably myself included, particularly when I was starting out, feel like if we bring in a box of receipts, we're doing pretty good. Like we worked all year. I'm being serious. We got those receipts. We kept, we in our mind kept track. What's a little bit more ideal to be able to help a company like yours to be able to help people? And I realize for the right price, you can help anybody, but maybe to help them a little bit more feasibly and a little more practically.
Well, the receipts are for your audit. So if you ever get audited, like the accountant doesn't need your receipts, really. The receipts are kept in case you're audited. What we need is if you're just starting a business, what we need is a profit and loss sheet or a list of your income, basically just a list of all the income that's come in, and then all of the expenses.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
And the more organized, the more accurate you could be, and probably the less you have to charge. I have found in any sort of consulting, advising, pricing, there's a little bit of the what would we call it? PITA, PITA component to the price. The lower the PITA, the lower the price generally is too. The higher the PITA, sometimes that price will tick up a bit. Is that, I don't know if you could say that about your company. I could say that.
Yeah.
I factor that into pricing quite a bit.
Let's see. There's a lot of comments about P&L sheets. It's profit and loss sheets. Profit and loss sheets. Yes.
I remember I was a hard charging young manager, bright future with Ruby Tuesday. And I've been promoted to management. And every Wednesday morning, we had to do inventory, everything in the whole store, 5 a.m. every Wednesday. And the boss says, the regional manager, GM, my GM was out. So the regional manager was filling in. He says, "Adam, all right, inventory's done. I need you to go reconcile P&L. And I heard this P&L. I knew it was something management. I knew it was something big time. I knew if I was dealing with P&L, I felt like it was like the Penske file on Seinfeld. Like I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew I had to learn what the P&L was. And I remember I finally just broke down. I had a really good relationship with that regional guy. He was my former GM that had actually hired me when I was 16. And I was like, Rod, what's a P&L? He's like, there's profit and loss. And I was like, oh, the sheet where I look at our receipts and I make sure that they match up the actual charges. And then we look at revenue and expenses. He's like, yeah, that's it. I was like, oh, I do P&L all the time, man. That's cool. I'm P&Ling, man.
Yeah. I mean, if you have any interest in how much your business is actually making, you're already kind of doing that. You just have to.
That's true.
You just
That's
have to put it in a form where somebody else, where you can communicate to somebody else. That's all. That's it. So
yeah.
But isn't that always the way with any kind of like? So I've worked with military. I've worked even in like churches. I've worked in higher education. They all have these acronyms, and once you enter a community, there is this language that is created that is just known and accepted, and anybody new to the community like this one,
I was gonna say you're swimming in it here, right?
Needs to. And so there's this there's this quote that I use in my class. It's a really convoluted quote from this philosopher. I can't even remember the philosopher's name actually.
Oh,
but it's
you
about
can't contribute it?
Yeah, I can't
I'm giving you a
remember
hard
what but it's about it's about a language that forges. It's basically a language forges the community. So once you get together with someone and you agree upon, like even in the earliest languages, or even in the way people communicate with their hands, when you encounter someone, you agree upon what a sound out of your mouth means, or what your hand motions mean. You agree upon that, and automatically you're drawn out of your own isolation, and you forge a community by simply agreeing that a certain sound or a certain motion means a certain thing. And I think I always think that's really neat. It's the power of language to be able to forge a community, to forge bonds. It's really kind of interesting when you think about it.
I think it is, and I think we actually take it for granted because we've probably not had language for millennia, and so we're completely natural and we expect it. But yeah, I think if you think about life without language, we would be much different. I don't even know if we wouldn't be called anything because we wouldn't have language, but a civilization. That stuff gets pretty deep. Let me take it back to the real life. I agree. And I felt that way when I sort of committed, but I also felt like I was engaged in the community once I started to understand ball python genetics. I remember a very, very specific moment where I said, if I don't understand what these genetics mean, A, I can't do anything with this. And B, I'm just an outsider. I'm on the outside and I'm looking in, and I need to learn this and need to figure this out. So,
and that's why you gave me the future is brightening allelic combinations. I mean, like I say that and people go, oh, okay, this guy, all right, he's a part of the community.
Yeah, he's figuring it out. Yeah, that's your gateway ticket right there.
And so then that extends to like I teach religion courses, right? So it extends to religion, and when a community agrees upon what this phrase means in their sacred text, or what this symbol means, like for Christianity, the cross, like that forges a particular community among people. They're automatically connected. Now, what does then happen is, because you're connected to this community, because you agree upon what this symbol means, you're also creating the other as well. So you're saying, this is the community, and people who don't understand what this symbol is, or don't agree upon what this symbol means to us, then they're outside of the community. So there's this inclusive element of language and symbol, and then there's this exclusive element of language and symbol.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, so if you yeah, if you walked up to the average pet owner at a reptile show and were like, I think the future is brightening allelic combinations, they're going to look at you and they're going to feel overwhelmed and excluded. So like, you have to be careful where you play that card.
Or like if I fake that phrase, I go that, and then somebody asks me a follow-up question,
right?
Then they would automatically see that I am out the community, and I would feel outside of the community. Just
right.
one,
oh yeah, you know what?
One follow-up question is all it would take.
Now that you have the line down, yeah, we actually, one of these shows, we're gonna have to give you a second line where they go, where they engage you, and then you go, you know.
Is there some like, is there some kind of dismissive like, well, it's all blank, blah, blah, blank, blah, blank.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, it's all personal taste anyway.
Oh, okay.
It just, you get real condescending real fast. Be like, oh, well, I mean, come on, it's all personal. Why would you? It's all, that's so subjective. And then you just walk away. Yeah.
Well, there you go. I can do that.
Yeah. Oh, right. Exactly. That's
yeah, I do have. So years ago, I did the strategic plan for the North Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce. So
really?
it was a few years ago, and they're still using the same strategic plan. And they've asked me to come back and redo or help them through and do this workshop with them on Friday. So I'm kind of excited about that. I know that's kind of boring and silly, but
it's not,
but I really like working. That's one of the things that I really like working with people on is like big idea thinking and figuring out what the steps are to move towards that vision.
So, all right, hang on. I'm writing this down because that's going to be our segue right in, and I can tell you why here in a minute when we segue in. I've been listening to sports radio, that's sort of a podcast setting, right?
I guess so. Yeah. Why? What?
Well, because it's live and it's people chatting and they focus on sports, but they have a little extra, life stuff in there.
Yeah.
And what they do is they tease things. So you gotta, you listen to Greeny in the morning, he's gonna tease it. So here in just a minute, we're going to go from the strategic plan right into our analogous field solutions topic. And by the way, Charlie at Reagan Renee, who's one of the great, I really enjoy working with him. And I think he's got an excellent mind for data, and which really, really plays very, very well into breeding ball pythons. I don't know if you saw his content or his comment earlier. Says, I'm driving to work. I was really looking forward to today's show. And I was like, yeah, bring on the nerd. Look at it. 23 people clicked on this. What in the hell is analogous? 2 of them know what it means. 21 of them, myself included, are going. Huh. So I'm excited about that. But so you got your thing on your strategic.
Yeah, and I would have to challenge you to say that me talking about it, doing a workshop for a Chamber of Commerce is actually a teaser to get people to listen more. I think that might shut people off.
No, I'm giving the guarantee it's going to tie into what we're talking about because we're going to get there. There was a time in my life where you said big plans, big details that you see through over a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like what we do in ball pythons.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Oh, see,
that's
yes,
exactly.
But Joe,
I am getting distracted though because I did get a new pair of headphones this past week. And
those on fire this morning. Yeah,
they're a little gaudy. I don't know. I feel like this is some kind of low-key Loki helmet or something. From like this is like what Loki hangs out, in his living room watching television. He wears these. Like it's just they seem very. I don't know. It's too much.
Do you feel like an old guy trying to be hip?
No.
Okay.
No,
well,
I just wanted. So I had new. I had these headphones that I've had for years. They're the best. But I also use headphones at my office, and I kept like having to pack them up. I did two things. Like I have a charger for my laptop, and I bring it, and then I have to pack it. Blah blah blah. So I got a charger. I got a charger. I can leave it there. Blah blah blah. So, and every once in a while, the old headphones would give me problems on this mic for some reason. So, a new pair, and I just typed in, good quality headphones that are coming. I mean, you can see there's big pads on them and stuff. So these are just they're too big. I don't know. Maybe I should switch. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do.
Well, you got to break them in. They're like new boots. They're going to take a minute. But do they sound good? Are they distracting audibly to you?
They sound good. I don't know why I can't, like my voice isn't coming through them, which is weird.
Oh, because you got to have you need a little monitor. That's what we call a monitor, so you can hear yourself.
So am I speaking louder than I usually do? Because
you got a lot on your mind this morning. I'll tell you that much.
Why? I'm talking more than usual.
Yeah, it's not so much loud. It's the sheer quantity. It's.
Oh, okay, Adam. I apologize. I'll cut back a little bit.
I appreciate I appreciate the show prep, the enthusiasm. I got to say, in true honesty, I rewatched the show from last week, and I don't think I was quite mentally ready to go. I was tired. I was grumpy. I acknowledged it. Like, that's not the show, man. The show starts and you got to be on stage. And I remember telling that to my team members for the longest time. Like, guys, you can do whatever you want to yourselves in life. But when you come here, all of us have this social contract that we agree that we're going to be on. And part of that is that you get paid. And part of it is that, this is the life that you chose. You don't have to be here. I didn't have to be on that last Thursday morning kind of deal. So I'm thankful that I'm here, and I'm happy, and I needed to kick myself in the butt a little bit over that. So here I am.
Well, I would like to hear what you thought of last week, because we did talk about it was something that we tried, bringing an extra person in who is outside of the community. So I wonder how you felt about it. I wonder how our listeners felt. And get some feedback on that, and maybe we'll continue to do that. Maybe not with Jay, but maybe with other people, and people who want to learn a little bit more.
I thought it was great, and even though I started a little bit bumpy, rubbing the sleep out of my eyes, I had a blast. I thought Jay was great. You and I talked after the show. Actually, sometimes we talk immediately after the show, but then we talked a couple hours after the show and we had a little time to assimilate it. I had a great time with Jay. I found him incredibly insightful. I got a few messages from the audience that they really enjoyed him, to the point where one person was like, keep in touch with that guy. You need to do business with him somehow. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of the way that I felt. Like, he's a guy where I was like, you know what? I don't know where or how we would cross paths to do business, but if he ever needed an analogous field solution, I would work with him on such a topic, Yeah,
he's a good guy to have in your back pocket for sure. And he is about that size too. Like, he can.
Oh, is he smaller than me?
No.
No, you're like, no, actually not, no. Adam. No, that's not true. So somebody asked about the shirt. This is from Ball Labs. Look at this thing, man. I was telling Joe before the show, I used to cycle a lot, and I've told a story of my spandex that I used to cycle in before. I'm not going to tell that story again. This reminds me a little of my old cycling days. You got the bright wear for the safety on the road. Ball Labs, that's Trevor out in Aurora, Colorado. And what's cool, what I really think is cool is when a brand matches somebody's personality. I think it should. And I think properroyals has probably taken on its own identity over time now, but this is Trevor's personality, man. Like, it's pretty cool. I like it. So anyway, check out Ball Labs. And for those real t-shirt geeks, especially in the industry, he's got the QR code on the back. Like, that's pretty smart. Cool too. So
that's real smart. It's real smart.
Yeah. Gina says she can't wait for the next 3. So not exactly how I envisioned that going in my life, but hey, there it was, the 3 of us right there. So, Joe, you talked about you're excited about Friday. I have one of my bucket list things coming up Sunday morning.
Really?
Yeah, the most Minnesota thing I could think of to do, I get to do Sunday morning. Any you want to venture any guesses there?
So you're okay, Sunday morning. And what
Sunday
happens?
morning.
Is it so is it something that is local, or is it something that's happening? Oh, wait a second. Is it something that's local to your area?
It's local to Minnesota. Okay, so full transparency, I got to drive, an hour and a half.
Bucket list. Okay. Will people be watching it who are not in Minnesota?
No, not one bit.
No.
They will not. Nobody outside of Minnesota will care.
No wrestling. Is it wrestling related?
It is not. I wish I was going. That would be Saturday. I wish I was going to the Royal Rumble in Tampa Bay. I wish I was hanging out with Joe at the official kickoff to the road to WrestleMania is Saturday night, the Royal Rumble. I will not.
Oh my gosh. And you know what this weekend is in Tampa Bay? Gasparilla.
Oh, is it Gasparilla and Royal Rumble?
So it's Gasparilla, Royal Rumble, and in Dade City, it's the Kumquat Festival.
Kumquat Festival. Are they trying to rival the Strawberry Festival? That seems a little intrusive. The Kumquat Festival. Okay.
The Kumquat Festival happens every year so Dade City is right outside of Tampa Bay and Tampa. And that's a festival, and they have it the same weekend as Gasparilla, which is this huge festival monster party in Tampa. Yeah,
invasion of the pirates and all that good stuff.
I thought, wow, Dade City really going head to head with Tampa with the kumquats.
Right? Yeah. Hey, you know what? Maybe it's like reptile owners. Maybe kumquat enthusiasts are everywhere. Who knew? Yeah, I'm going ice fishing, man. That is
ice fishing. That's awesome.
3 people in the audience got it. Yeah, man. Right out of the gate. Boom. Yeah, I'm gonna go ice fishing Sunday morning. How about that? And
that's awesome.
And not like the luxury glamping version, not where you basically pull an RV on the lake and chill in a living room with heat and TV. I'm talking, I was told to wear a couple extra layers of socks and my snow pants is what I was told. So we're going to brave the elements. I'm going out. It's sounding great, isn't it? I'm going to brave the elements and I'm going ice fishing, man. Hopefully we get on a little northern pike is what I'm after.
Yeah. Oh, those are fun to catch for sure.
Yeah.
You have to tell me how it is. Oh, I really want to do that too at some point. And Aiden, my stepson, really wants to try it out. So yes,
bring it next winter. Come on up. I'm actually really excited. So the only part I'm not going to be able to fully embrace is that I have to drive about an hour and a half home after ice fishing that day. And I understand that, regular and steady amount of beers are typical with the ice fishing ritual, which is I'm going to have to take it easy on the beers because I've got to drive home,
Well, I would think it would be like a liquor, like to keep you warm,
Oh, like a little peppermint schnapps, Dr. McGillicuddy's peppermint schnapps.
Like a whiskey to,
yeah.
warm the inside.
I might pour a little whiskey in the old coffee. I
feel like having a flask is not normal except for ice fishing.
Look, officer, here's the situation. My dumbass has been out on frozen water for the past 4 hours, and I dug a hole in it, and I dropped a little hook with a worm to see if I could coax a northern pike out of said hole. And clearly I've been drinking. Yes. No, we'll see. I'm going to have a good time with it. So that's what I'm excited about. So we teased this Analogous Field Solutions. I will set up a little story, and then I'd love for you to take us through the whole philosophy of it. Maybe you said which by the way, I am excited about. I wasn't just patronizing you. That is really cool. When I'm serious, when you said that as a consultant you worked on a future project planning for City Chamber of Commerce, and first, it's very cool on a couple levels. A, it's got to be fulfilling to see that through. B, from a business standpoint, what a great way to have a perpetual customer to keep people on track for a long-term plan. Longer the better, right? You just keep them going. You make sure it's going well. You see it through. So that's cool stuff. I remember I was working for the PGA Tour, and my boss, we do these massive tournaments. So the Players Championship, those of y'all that don't know, highest payout in all of golf. No sponsor exemptions. You got to be the best player to be able to play the Players. TPC Sawgrass. You got to hire a ton of people. There's going to be anywhere from 60 to 100,000 people on course, spectators, and there's a lot to it. You need staff, you need locations, you need menus, you need directional, you need uniforms for all this staff, and you got to get them trained, and then you're done with them. And my boss, the very first year, he comes to me and he says, Adam, can you handle the staffing for the temporary team and organization that way? And I need you to all these locations and all the things I just said. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be great. I'll do it. And then I went to him, and at that time I was the assistant director, not the director of food and beverage. And I went to the director. I said, why? Why do you want me to do that? That's a pretty big undertaking. This is the Players Championship. I said, for the record, I'm going to do it, but why me? He looks at me, he goes, you always have these massive plans that you want to see through. You like this big picture stuff. You like seeing these great big details. He's like, great. I'll go work the floor and serve wine and, schmooze people, because I hate all that stuff you're talking about, and you're going to be excited to do it. So go have a great plan, and we'll find out what you're made of. And I was like, whoa, the last part, wait, hang on a second. What do you mean? And he was sort of joking, but he was like, you're the guy for the job, so go do it. So when you said that, that's what made me say, wait a minute, I remember this. So I would have this massive spreadsheet. Here's temporary employee this. Here's the hiring day. Here's the job fair. Here's the location I'm going to put them in. Here's the menus that they have to learn. Click on this, and here is their size and not their uniform size. Here's what they're going to need, and then here's their reporting manager that I'm going to send them to that day, and then I'll coordinate all these area managers as well. And I loved it, and I did that kind of stuff. I ended up doing it for the next 7 years for the PGA Tour, and I've used it in planning and all that stuff since. Enter the world of ball pythons, and I wish sometimes I had my camera on a swivel. I can't actually reach it, but enter ball pythons, and here we are with 180 snakes with different genetics and different long-term plans, from anywhere from right now's years to 10 years from now, when I think I'll have, triple, quadruple recessives, blah, blah, blah. And that sort of planning is it goes right in line with what I was talking about. And that's a perfect example of this analogous field solutions topic that we're talking about, where an expertise in one area can translate to another area. And I'm going to go down a rabbit hole in a minute on that, because I think it's very important. There's something that goes on in our community that I think is very important that we remember these analogous field solutions are very valuable for. But that's one example. Give us the philosophy of it, Joe. I know you're the big picture idea guy. Give us the philosophy of it.
Just to respond to that. So I've worked in many, many different organizations and worked with them. Now, I don't think I'm an organizational leadership expert or anything like that. But what I have observed and what I've observed in this community and your work as well, is that you have you have to have this big picture planning, right? This is not an analogous field solution stuff, but you have to have this big picture planning years in advance to go, this is what I'm going for. This is the direction I'm leading. And these are the snakes that I need to, make sure that they smash. So then you also have this list of 62 detailed things that you need to do every day, and you're doing both of those things.
That's
this
true.
big picture
Yeah.
planning and this detail oriented stuff. The best, like the best leadership that I have seen in organizations have this visionary who's like, this is the vision, this is what we're going for, and they work in tandem with somebody who gets the job done. And in my mind, an organization or a company of that type of thinking, it's rare to find it in the same person, I think, but they need that kind of leadership. So for the military, we had this depot commander. He was usually, it was a small installation, so he was a colonel. He wasn't a general, but he was a colonel. And then there was the sergeant major. And I'm sure we have people who have been in the military here listening. But that work in tandem, the colonel was much more the visionary of the installation, whereas the sergeant major was like, let's get these things done. Same thing with this church organization that I worked with. We had like this visionary priest who was the president, and then the executive director was this nun who was like, we got to get this stuff done. So
I think the nuns are the ones that get the stuff done the most, right? They're the go get
it. Yeah. So
as I understand it, all the work. I actually have I don't know that I've ever met a nun.
And I think, I think you need both of those types of people, because I think they do have this kind of you're kind of drawn your personality is drawn to one or the other, big thinking or like getting things done, detail oriented people. And you need both. You can't, because the visionary is going to go, we could do this and we could do this, and the detail person is going to ground the visionary, and then the detail person is going to be like, well, they're prone to go, well, this is the way that it gets done, so we got to stick to this way. And often they don't think they need somebody to kind of lift them up and go, well, maybe there's different ways to do it. So you need that tandem. And I think Analogous Field Solutions is kind of that, let's lift ourselves out of the ways that we've always done these things, and let's look elsewhere and see if there's ways other industries do this type of work that can inform our industry. So like the examples, so it's an old article, but I always thought it was neat, and it's called it's in the Harvard Business Review, and it's like the best ideas are found outside of your industry. And the whole idea is, if you have a problem or if you're dealing with a dilemma within your industry, the most novel ideas and sometimes the best ideas are found if you remove yourself from your industry and you look at the ways other people do it. The examples that they give are these studies where these roofers are looking for more comfortable, more efficient helmets to wear. And so they ask roofers, and they've come up with some ideas, but where they found the most novel and best ideas were with inline skating folks who sell helmets to inline skaters. So stepping outside, the other example that they give is city planners, thinking about how to organize a certain city, where things should go. They engage like hospital administrators, because there are certain ways in which the hospital is organized so that things work efficiently. Yeah. So finding those ideas that best suit or are most novel for your industry outside of, and that's exactly what I hear every week here. And I think there's probably people who listen and who are in our chat who have introduced ideas to the things that you do as breeders, as collectors, as pet owners, and how they've learned about how to do stuff in their own, work experience. For you, it would be, I hear a lot of like sanitation, what you needed to do in the restaurant business,
right? Right.
and how that plays into how you handle your collection, your breeding. I'm sure that all of like you get these ideas from these other areas, and they're the most novel ideas. And that's what's interesting to me in this community is I think everybody has their own ideas about how to do things. And I certainly understand that you're not, I mean, you're one voice.
Right.
And then what I like, well, what are we introducing from these other areas of our lives that really influence the way that we breed ball pythons, that we raise ball pythons, that we treat our reptiles? So
I was furiously making notes. A lot of thoughts come to my mind. The first being, I said earlier, there was something that ties directly to the context of our industry right now. And there is, Joe, we got to do a whole show on the drama, politics, intra-community relationships that revolve around podcasts. and the people that, it's exhausting actually. And for the record, anybody's name that I ever say, I'm on good terms with. If I'm not on good terms with somebody, I'm not going to bring up their name. That's just how I operate. It's sort of one of my own personal rules. So I am on fine terms and get along great with another guy named Chris that has a show. And he posits often, why should anybody have a podcast if you haven't been doing this forever and if you're not an expert? Great. Fine. Have your opinion. And like I say, we're fine. We're good. That's his shtick. It's his thing. It's very, very cool. My thing comes down to essentially Analogous Field Solutions. Sure. Part of my brand is, hey, come along with me while I experience all this and I figure it out and I learn and we learn together and we grow together. Great. I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know, except for maybe Joe. But the argument for why anybody has something to share if they're not, quote, experts in this arena is that we always need infusions of new ideas. We need infusions of different ways to accomplish things. We need infusions of aha moments where people can help us. And a few things come to mind. One very specifically in this community, there's a guy in the audience named Phil. Phil, I'm going to misrepresent him a little bit because I don't know the official titles of things. But the best I can understand it is Phil is an incredibly insightful electrical engineer in the matter of electricity storage and creation from solar panels. Phil's operation is totally self-sustaining from sunlight. Power goes out, no problem. Well, we have a huge problem in the industry, a worry of power go out. Ice storms in Texas 2 years ago killed off tons of animals because there wasn't power. Well, Phil could solve that. Mm-hmm. Phil does happen to be a very accomplished breeder as well, far more of an expert than I am. But even if he wasn't, and he could solve that problem in our community for us, this makes perfect sense of why Phil should have a voice. Hence, why we would make space to hear somebody that maybe we think is an expert or not, because he's an expert in that area. Mm-hmm. And that was something that was a component I always thought that I could bring to the show that I was excited about. Another thought comes to mind when you said, I thought of, what's the farthest reaching, almost non-analogous thing I could think of a solution that has worked. And I love this thought. It's a story that I go back to often. And I find inspiration in the story. So I'm going to make it as quick as I can, because we could pick apart the whole show if I wanted to on this. I love this. I talk about this a lot when I'm coaching and doing my consulting stuff. I was working at a private club in North Carolina, and the best that I could describe it is this was basically not in architecture, but in mentality, a medieval community, city walls around the mountain. You did not get into this place. Literally owned and operated by a billionaire. I reported directly to the billionaire. I was the food and beverage director, but essentially I ran all hospitality and oversaw all hospitality in this guy's world. I'm talking helicopter pads. I'm talking cars like you wouldn't believe, money thrown around, politicians, all that stuff. And every year we did this welcome back gala, and because it was a very seasonal club, they'd been in Florida all winter. Now they're in the mountains in North Carolina for the summer. We have to welcome them back, and we need this big theme every year, and it's got to be over the top. And so we said this year's theme will be a night at the Oscars. So we had these ice sculpture Oscars lit up with gold lights. We hired the local drama team to be the paparazzi flashing flash bulbs as they walked up the red carpet from the valet. And we're doing all this, and we decide we need the Hollywood Hills sign. And our clubhouse sat atop the mountain looking across the valley at another mountain, and we said, we got to figure out how to get the Hollywood sign on that mountain. This is how big we were thinking. We're gonna we're gonna buy these 2-3 story letters. We're gonna drop them in with a helicopter, and we quickly realized that even with the money and the resources we had, this was an absolutely impossible idea. But we've already advertised it's a night at the Oscars. We got to pull this off. What's more iconic in LA than the Hollywood sign?
Mm-hmm. Right.
At the same time, a guy was working with me named Jay, who's been in my life and my career for a long time. One thing Jay did, just like I breed ball pythons, is Jay does close-up magic. He is an illusionist. He is a card sleight of hand artist. He tells amazing stories. And we're racking our brains. I'm losing my patience. I'm frustrated because I'm used to being good at what I can do, and I can't come up with a solution. And Jay pipes up, and he goes, it doesn't actually have to be real. People just have to think it's real. And I'm like, great. I don't know that this is the time for a philosophical dream talk here today. I need solutions. And he said, nothing's real in magic. We just make people believe it is for a moment. It's an illusion.
Yeah.
Okay. Jay's kind of fighting for this now. And Jay's personality is not one to confront people. So I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, we just need to make them think that the Hollywood Hills letters are on that mountainside. They don't actually have to be there. So, okay. All right. What are we going to do? And Jay says, if you look at Penn and Teller, if you look at any magician on stage, if you look at all these things, they understand how things look in proportion from a distance. He says, all we really need to do is print Hollywood Hills signs that we can install on the outside of windows that'll be at the right proportion. So when they walk in the front door and they look through the windows, it looks like the letters are perfectly there.
Yeah.
And suddenly 2-story 3D blocks of Hollywood Hills being dropped in with helicopters gets replaced with, we just need an artist's perspective to make that look good and slap those on the outside of the windows, because you just need that one moment of aha. And when you brought that up, that was like the biggest aha moment of yes, that is why you listen. That's why you bring in people that might not be experts in your own area.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the best I could think of. The next one, which is not a long story though, is my most recent GM at a different property, a much more down to earth property. That general manager came from Toyota Manufacturing. What in the world is a guy from Toyota Manufacturing doing in a hospitality 2-course golf club in the foothills of North Carolina? Analogous Field Solutions is 100% what he's doing. He took the Toyota way and applied that to hospitality. Unreal. I love it. That gets me going.
I'm interested. I'm sure that there are things that the people in on our chat who are listening, these ideas for this industry. I keep calling it an industry for this community. Can I call it an industry? I
think we should. I think when we call it a hobby, people dismiss it as us playing, playing with our food at the dinner table. That's not the case.
I'm sure people have introduced ideas in the way that they breed, in the way that they raise reptiles, in this industry that have come from outside. And I'm interested in hearing those kind of deviations that might be really, really great solutions to problems that are perennial in the community. You know what I mean? I want to ask, if there's any ideas that have come from outside of this community that have been really helpful for dealing with the solution of dealing with a problem where you needed a solution in breeding.
There's an avalanche of opportunity. And one of the things that I really, a little bit of a shameless plug, but it's true, is the Patreon group, the Proper Royals Patreon group. Part of why I love it so much is the vast array of different backgrounds. If there's somebody that has, and I'm not saying very specifically construction, but skills in construction, I mean, they're talking about, and I just get to sit back and watch and listen sometimes, but it's like this little environment of, we would call it what do they call it? A business incubator where like different minds get together and just talk business. It happens 24/7. We're all flinging ideas back and forth. But it turns out there's people that have engineered their own rat racks. There's people that are engineering their own facilities. And what's neat about the ball python industry, or reptiles in general, is that it's so individualized, and so there's not a homogeneous way of doing everything. So that's evolving too. And it's cool to be in the middle of that, because there's this constant problem solving going on. There's this constant, and I experience it. I live in Minnesota. Well, that's way different atmospherically and environmentally than Florida was. I know the goal of where I got to get to, temperature, humidity wise, but how am I going to get there? How am I going to make that work? And the ideas that get cooked up, the experts in, everything from electrical engineering to HVAC to data analysis from another breeder, Charlie, I was talking about earlier. I love that stuff. And that's all evolving. Like in my career, there was all that stuff was already figured out. There was a way that we did stuff, and sure, you make little innovations. Everything's always being innovated. But here we make giant quantum leaps of innovation, and it comes from these other ideas. There's a guy in Florida was a huge resource. He was an appliance specialist. I mean, it doesn't sound like it has enough clout to say appliance repair guy. He would help. I needed for incubators. I needed for the deep freezer. I could get repairs done, and he would guide me through what was wrong. And it was great to be able to call the guy and get the guidance from him, and offer payment or do future business, that kind of thing. You got to take care of people, but same thing with designers, same thing with, how cool is this? Somebody made this shirt. Like, whether I like the design or anybody likes it or not, it is a well-made shirt. And this is I could see this being applied in a different way for my own brand. This is the personality of Trevor's brand. But so I like those things.
I think and we keep saying Analogous Field Solutions, but like, really, it's just the idea that you go, okay, we cannot stagnate. And that's really it. It's like, if you stagnate in business, you're going to die. Stagnation is death. You cannot to do the same thing over and over again. You can't do that. So this philosophy is just about going outside, thinking, oh gosh, what am I going to say? That phrase that's been kicked around forever and ever, thinking outside the box. Right. It's bringing you outside of the box and making sure that you're not stagnating, because if you stagnate, you're going to be left behind. That's just the way that things work, I think, these days. So I think it's really important to not say, well, this is how this community has done this forever, and this is the way of doing it. I think it's really important for everyone in the community to bring their expertise from outside of this community to bettering and innovating. I mean, what Phil is saying is innovation, right? Yeah. Just innovate so that it can continue to keep moving forward.
And I think it takes a certain mindset. I believe, gosh, I should be better when I reference a book. I didn't think I'd be referencing this book this morning. I think it's called Creative Design is what it's called, I believe. It's by two professors at Stanford Business School, which I think they call it Q School, and I can't remember why they call it the Q School. But basically, it says everybody can design, and you have to design. Design is where innovation comes from, is what they argue. And they say Don't worry if you don't think you can draw. Don't worry if you don't think that you're an artist. Don't worry if you don't think you're a designer. Grab a Sharpie, write it on a napkin. There's a reason the cliche of the back of the napkin is how the best things get created in the moment. Figure out how to convey ideas to somebody that can help you and can do things if you can't do it yourself, and get good at conveying ideas. Mm-hmm. Then you could be a designer and you can innovate. And creative design, I think it's called creative design. I'm going to have to look it up. Anyway, I really enjoyed that book, and it really encouraged me to go, Adam, you don't, as a leader, you always want to be this expert. You always want to position yourself as the guy with the answers. I mean, that's the best leader, right? Oh, Adam's the guru. He knows it all. But what I found was I could get far more buy-in when we built a solution all together as a team, whether it was the dishwasher or the executive chef. When solutions arose from the team and I fostered an environment where they were creating those solutions, everybody bought in. And who better to come up with a solution? If we have a problem in the dish pit, who's going to have better insight than what's wrong in the dish pit than the dishwasher?
Mm-hmm. Right,
we have them for a purpose. They're valuable. Listen to the person. Yeah. So
there's this other thing that I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
It's okay. Well, I have this, believe it or not, I saw your shirt, and I have this, I used to do one other exercise that revolved around AC/DC. But I can finish with that big, that could be the show closer.
So there's this other, this is what you just said reminded me of this other thing that I've done with groups before. And maybe some of you have heard of this. It's called the Marshmallow Challenge.
Oh, I have not.
So it's there's a great TED Talk about it, the Marshmallow Challenge. So maybe we can link to that. And then there's some other links that we should put in here, I guess. But the Marshmallow Challenge is like basically I have a group of people and I put them into different groups, and I completely stole this from somebody, but it's interesting. We watched the TED Talk and everything. You put them into small groups, and the challenge is I give them like 10 sticks of spaghetti, dried spaghetti, like 3-foot string, 3-foot masking tape, and then a marshmallow. And their challenge is to create the tallest freestanding structure that can hold the marshmallow on top. Okay. So and then I have a few observers who kind of look at the different groups and how they develop the idea for the design and how they execute. And what happens is the tallest designs are from, and actually he says this in the TED Talk too, it's usually kids who do it the best because they are playing more than anything else. And they're what he calls it is they're prototyping. Yeah. So they put a few sticks together, they try something, they put the marshmallow on top, and if that doesn't work, they go back and they try it again. And there's a time to it. You have 17 minutes to do it, right? So they're just trying these different types of designs and putting the marshmallow on top. But what most people do is they think about it, and they go, this is the design that's going to work, and we're going to build it. And right at the very end, they put the marshmallow on top, and more often than not, it doesn't hold. But so the best ideas come from people who feel free enough to prototype, who feel free enough to give their ideas to the group, that there's more kind of an egalitarian communication that's going on, where we're going to play together, we're going to try, and then we're just going to keep trying to put the marshmallow on top because you're prototyping these different designs. And so that's what I think about with you and garnering an environment in your teams where people feel like, oh, I can contribute. I'm going to contribute these ideas, and we're going to try it. And if it doesn't work, then we'll try a different thing. Right. And I think those kind of novel ideas come from your own experience, come from your own life, what you experience, and introducing that into the industry or the job or the task or the solution that's right in front of you.
Well, and I think a really important component to that too, that maybe is unspoken, is in the example you gave, the kids weren't concerned if they failed. They probably, in that exercise in 17 minutes, they probably failed 15 times and they found the solution. Yeah. Whereas the mental adults said, let's think this through and we're going to execute it. And they gave themselves one chance, succeed or fail. And you said more often than not, they fail multiple times and figure out the answers quicker is a neat, interesting idea. All right, before I tell the AC/DC story, guys, you got to check out Creative Genetics. That's Keith out in Fresno, California. Keith is working with the Stranger gene, and he's working that into his recessive projects. I know right here, right now, he's got Stranger available in single, double, and triple het possibilities. Give him a call. I know he's a motivated seller. He's an excited breeder. I'm working with him on a breeding project this year, and I do own several of his snakes that I've purchased for myself that aren't collaborative. That was just transactional. Check him out. Creative Genetics. He supports the show too. The least you could do is go click on his link. It's down in the description. If you feed frozen thawed, or if you consider feeding frozen thawed, you should check out Cold Blooded Cafe. Forget the narratives that you hear. I'm telling you on my good name, Cold Blooded Cafe produces every rat that they sell in-house. They know what it's fed. They know where it's sourced from. It's not coming on cargo ships across the Pacific. It's not coming from science labs that you don't know what it's been fed before you buy those animals. They produce them all in-house. I think they're a great, great product. I've used them for years exclusively. Before I was in business with them, I used them exclusively. Use promo code PROPER11 and you're going to get 11% off of your order this year. It was pretty cool. So thanks to the sponsors. This is a exercise that I used to do, and I still do in my mind. And this one I did not steal. This is one I made up myself, or a story that I've shared myself. I like rock and roll. I like AC/DC. I love Angus Young. My very first electric guitar was a Gibson SG because I thought it was so cool. It looked like little devil horns like that Angus played. Turns out Angus is built like I am. He's a skinny, slight dude. And the little Gibson SG fits his body. It looks like a normal person playing a guitar. Joe, you playing an SG would look like you're playing a fiddle is what it would look like. Not because you're an ogre, but because it's a very small-bodied guitar.
It's fine.
No. So AC/DC has a song called For Those About to Rock, We Salute You. I love it. Well, let's dig a little deeper. In the context of the era of classic rock hits, you need a song that's about 3.5 minutes long. You usually have some, powerhouse, machismo, sexually driven lyrics, innuendo. They sing it, good riffs, blues-driven riffs. If you're a music theory guy, a little 1-4-5 progression will usually do it. Throw a minor in there on the turnaround. And in 3.5 minutes, you're going to have a hit, and you throw a big guitar solo in the middle. Hey, if you're AC/DC, that's the model right there. Blues-driven riffs, 3.5-minute songs. Let's sing, something full of innuendo, and we're going to let Angus Young set the stage on fire. Boom. There's your blueprint. One time, Angus was asked, he said, hey, some people criticize you because they say you've produced 11 of the very same album over and over. And in whatever the expression in Australia is, he says, that's balderdash. It's been 13 albums. Kind of joking. Yeah, we have a model. But for those about to rock, We Salute You doesn't follow that model. It starts slow. It builds. It doesn't have all this innuendo. And then, this is the part right here. Instead of going into a solo, which they get to, it's also like 8 minutes long. This is not a radio-friendly hit. Right when you think there's going to be a solo, what do? They fire a cannon. What? This song broke all the rules, and it's an amazing song, and it became a radio hit. And somewhere in some creative discussion, somebody said, and I wish I could do an Australian accent, but I can't. I'm not going to patronize our good folks down under. Somebody said, hey, no. What if we fire a cannon?
Yeah, right.
And the rest of the guys went, oh, okay.
Let's do it.
And then they went to a record producer, and the record producer was like, okay. And then the producer went to Warner Brothers, their record label, who was funding all of this to the tune of millions of dollars, and convinced them that 1 out of 8 tracks on this album could have a cannon that gets fired in the middle of it. And this is crazy. This would never have happened. And I don't know if that's an analogous field solution, but it is now, because it teaches me you can have open, creative ideas, just like the marshmallows and the pasta. Somebody be the guy that says, you know what? I'm going to fire a cannon, right? You got Angus, you got the hottest guitarist in the world. And you're like, not yet, dude. Not yet. We're going to fire a cannon first. And I love it. And there is a great solo at the end of it. And it does become, it does start to check the boxes. But I love envisioning how that meeting must have gone, how that creative session happened, and whether it's the Hollywood sign on the hills, whether it's the rat shack out here, how I'm going, it is going to be 12 degrees below zero next week. How do I keep these rodents at 73 degrees? We got to figure it out. And being open-minded enough to innovate, to succeed, to fail until you succeed, because you could try things little by little rather than this big failure or big success. That's the stuff that I love. That's what AC/DC taught me.
Well, there you go. Fantastic.
Didn't see that coming, huh? No. I didn't either. I mean, you just happened to wear the shirt. I was like, wait a minute, I got something here. I got something. Yeah, Phil's right. The attitude that he plays. I mean, Angus is he's a god. I regret, one of my big regrets in life will be that I never saw AC/DC live, especially in their prime. I still might see them, but it won't be the AC/DC. Yeah, Phil, I use an oil radiant heater. I insulated the thing. I got this new ceramic heater too, this Heat Storm. It's working. So that's that was my thought. I encourage everybody to think out loud, think outside, think put your idea. Also one of my quotes one of my favorite quotes I love, I think it's from a guy, Mark Manson. He boils things down to the really simplest thing. He basically says something along the lines of, if you have something great to offer somebody, and he uses a word I shouldn't use on the show. He says, speak the blank up. If you have something to offer somebody, don't worry about if you're an expert or not. Don't worry about if you're perceived as great or not. If it's the right answer at the right time, or the right thought at the right time, or the right something to get somebody on the right path at the right time, speak up. Don't worry about whether you should or shouldn't be talking into a microphone or not. Whatever. Speak up. That's what I say.
Well, another great conversation this morning. This starts my day really well. Thanks everybody for, listening and chatting with us. Really, this is just such a great time every week for me. So thank you very much.
Joe, I hope you have an awesome day. In true sincerity, I hope that meeting tomorrow goes well. I'm always excited when we're friends. I could say it. We're among friends. I know that you get excited by doing a little bit of different things. And anytime you're on one singular lane, it feels like there's a little less excitement or enthusiasm. But I see the multiple lanes, and I see the enthusiasm today. And I was excited when you had. I meant it when I was like, "Man, Joe's bringing it today. This is good. This is excited Joe today."
The other thing is we're recording our first interview of the next slew of Crimson Sheen, and Excellent. It was really nice. We had a little bit of an uptick from last week from our show, doing our show. So maybe some of our listeners tried out Crimson Sheen. So
that's right. I hope so.
Everybody.
I need to go do that too. Crimson Sheen, anywhere you can find podcasts, you will find Crimson Sheen podcast featuring, I was going to say our very own. It's his very own. We're just borrowing Joe here, but this is good. Joe, I appreciate it. Have a blast. Good luck tomorrow at the presentation, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Everybody, we'll do it again, same place, same time next week. Cheers, everybody.